Welcome to Music Education. This is part 1 of 2 parts from Music Education, where we will be talking about Southeast Asian instrumental music. For the first part, we will be focusing on Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and Myanmar. After this lesson, you are expected to identify and analyze musical elements of the instrumental music of representative Southeast Asian countries, appreciate the richness and diversity of Southeast Asian music, and improvise musical instruments using recycled materials. But first, let us review the Horns-Bones-Bostel-Sachs classification of instruments. There are 5 categories of instruments. First is aerophone. Aerophone instruments are those who you need to blow into to produce sound. Air, as the name suggests, is needed to create the sound. Next is chordophone. These are instruments with strings that you need to pluck in order to create sound. Idiophone and membranophone are mostly the same, for they create sound when they are hit or strike. The difference is that with membranophone, there is a membrane which when hit either by hand or another material will vibrate to create sound, while idiophones are instruments that produce sounds when hit together, while electrophones produces sounds primarily by electrical means. To further understand, let us have some examples. What do you think is the classification of this instrument? Yes, it's chordophone, because as you can see, there are strings to be plucked. How about this? You guessed it right, it's a membranophone because there is a membrane on top which is to be hit to create sound. This one. Yup, an idiophone. The wooden planks on top is what you hit with the mallet to create sound. How about this? Another idiophone. You are to hit the gongs with a mallet in order to create sound. And this is an aerophone, correct? For you need to blow on the bamboo sticks in order to create sound. And this one is an idiophone. Again, the wooden planks need to be struck with a mallet to produce sound. This is an aerophone, where you need to blow into to produce sound. And this is membranophone, for it has membranes that needs to be struck in order to produce sound. How about this? Yup, this is an idiophone, for you need to strike them together to produce sound. And lastly, yes, a chordophone because it has strings to be plucked. You will be faced with many musical instruments from the first grading to the fourth, so I really do hope you remember the classifications of these instruments. Now let us go to our lesson. Southeast Asian instrumental music of Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and Myanmar. We will be faced with many words that have different pronunciations. I have researched some of it, but if how I say it is different from other videos you've watched or will watch, I'm sorry, but just remember the spelling, for I will say it according to the spelling. Cambodia. Pinpit is the Cambodian musical ensemble who usually performs for royal courts and in temples. In Cambodia, they always use music to be part of their court dances, mask plays, shadow plays, and religious ceremonies. 9 to 10 idiophones and membranophones are the instruments used in Pinpit. Let us familiarize ourselves with some of the Cambodian Pinpit ensemble. Onit is an idiophone and has 21 thick bamboo or hardwood bars suspended from the strings attached to the walls. Kong Vong, another idiophone where gongs are arranged in a circular frame. Ching, another idiophone, is also called the finger cymbals and is made from metals. Scorthom is a membranophone that is the bigger drums used in pinpit. And lastly, the samphor is a double-headed barrel drum, another membranophone, and is played with both hands. Now, let us go to Thailand. Thailand has three primary instrumental ensembles. The first one is Pifat. This is similar to the Cambodian Pinpit. Pifat is a mid-size orchestra which performs outside using hard mallets or for indoors using padded mallets. Pifat is used in Thailand for funerals and cremation ceremonies or to accompany their Nang Yai or their shadow puppet theater and their Kon, which is their dance drama. Their musical principle is influenced by Chinese music, which has either a 5-tone or 7-tone scale system, but their instruments are influenced by Indian and Indonesian strings and gong chimes. Next Thai ensemble is the Krung Sai. It is similar to Pifat but have more diverse choices in their instruments. They have aerophones and chordophones, for this is an ensemble primarily used indoors. The Kroeng Sai, mostly played indoors, usually accompanies the stick puppet theater in Thailand. It has an expanded instrumentations of string instruments and also uses fiddles, zithers, flutes, drums, and cymbals. Lastly, the Mahori. This is an all-female group that plays in the courts of central Thailand and also in Cambodia. The instruments they use are combinations from the pipat and the krong sai. Laos. The Lao orchestra can be divided into two categories. First is the sepnyai. Instruments used are mostly percussive but integrates the use of an oboe, while the sepnoi uses the kin, which is a large bamboo mouth organ and is the most popular folk music instrument in Laos. Vietnam. There are three categories of Vietnam music, or what they call the Nak Vietnam, music of Vietnam. Their ethnic music, which originates from the Kin people of Vietnam. The Imperial Court music. Nanak is the most popular imperial court music for its show elegance in the music that they produce. Their music, together with their dance, are the sought-after performances of the Vietnamese royal courts from the 15th to the mid-20th century. The Nanak are the opening and closing performers for anniversaries, religious holidays, coronations, funerals, and other official receptions. They also perform in honor of gods and scholars in temples. They feature singers, dancers, and musicians dressed in costumes and uses a wide range of instruments for their performances. Also part of the Vietnamese imperial court music are the Dari Nak, which is the great music, and the Tune Nak, the small music, who performs for their kings. Next category is the folk music. These are performed indoors or outdoors, and the performers are diverse, from professional to the blind artist in the streets who play music to earn money. Since it is diverse, It can be performed in different occasions, may it be for musical theaters, streets, courtship, rituals, even for ceremonies for invoking the spirits. The last category is the religious and ceremonial music, which is performed in religious rituals or at funerals. Next, let us go to Myanmar. The musical ensemble of the Myanmar is what they call the Sangwain, which is a traditional folk ensemble. These are mainly made up of gongs and drums, as well as other instruments they use depending on the nature of performance. It usually accompanies rituals, performances, and ceremonies in Myanmar. Burma is the former name of Myanmar. Myanmar's musical instruments are classified into two: the loud sounding, usually performed outdoors, and the soft sounding, performed indoors. Sangwang instruments belong to the loud category. Let's be familiar with the instruments of the Sangwang ensemble. The patwang is a membranophone that is composed of 18 to 21 drums in a circular frame. The kiwang, an idiophone composed of bronze gongs in a circular frame. Mongsang, another idiophone, are gong chime made of larger bronze gongs in a rectangular frame. Choklonpat, membranophone, is a set of 8 tuned drums. The ne, an aerophone, which is a double reed oboe or pipe. The si and dwa, idiophones, are the bell and clapper. And lastly, the songgok, a cordophone, is used in formal and classical performances, usually indoors. The songgok is the national instrument of Myanmar. It is a 13-string angular harp with soft sounding. What have we learned today? Southeast Asia is rich in its musical culture as reflected in their traditional music. Southeast Asian musical instruments are percussion dominated, but also features unique sounding string and wind instruments. Music groups from neighboring Southeast Asian countries share their own similarities as well as uniqueness. Southeast Asian music is mainly based on a 5-tone and 7-tone scale, giving it a much more Asian feel as compared to Western music. The purpose or use of music in Southeast Asia traditionally ranged from accompanying funerals, weddings, royal court music, to a popular folk and practical music. For your activity, you will be completing a table about what we have discussed. The template will be uploaded in your Google Classroom. For your project in music, you will create your own instrument. You may use any materials available in your houses. The more creative and presentable your instruments, the better. Also, make sure that it will produce notable sound. For your output is to choose any song which you will sing with the accompaniment of your musical instrument. Your video should last for 1 to 3 minutes only. You will be graded using this rubric, which I will be posting in your FB group. For assessment, kindly check your FB group for the link. Again, this is part 1 of 2 parts for music education for the first quarter. The next links will be given in your FB group for the next lessons. Thank you, and I hope you've learned something from watching this video. Stay safe, everyone!